Wish TV is proud to honor teachers in Central Indiana.
She is an inspiration to all of us.
He's always smiling.
Who go above and beyond.
He's done so many things for so many people.
He's inspirational.
Making a difference.
He's always taught me to believe in myself and never get down on myself.
Everybody's biggest cheerleader.
And deserving of recognition for their outstanding efforts in education.
I love the people that I work with. And to know that I've made an impact on somebody's life, it is truly a great honor.
It's an honor. I love what I do, and the kids are the ones who make it work. I'm like just so taken aback because I love them so much. The fact that, they love me just as much just means a lot. Sorry, you're going to have to cut that part out.
And you are our winner.
Oh, thank you so much.
From Wish TV and the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the Golden Apple Awards podcast.
Hey everyone, Hannah Mordeau here. This month's Golden Apple Award winner is a Spanish teacher at Pike High School who also sort of speaks the language of high schoolers. Her name is Miss Leiwanna Taylor. She goes by Wannie, and we went to surprise her with the Golden Apple Award trophy, a $500 school supply shopping spree to teachers' treasures, and a video from her fellow staff and students. She was so emotional. She cried a lot. So I gave her a little time to decompress and brought her back here on the podcast. Hey, Miss Wannie Taylor, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So it's been a little bit now since your story aired. You've had some time to digest everything. We clearly shocked you when we came into your classroom. How are you feeling now?
The outpouring of love and support has been amazing, but I'm a super private person, so being on TV has been like, So,
well, I'm sorry to put you in that spotlight, but we just want to highlight everything that you've done for your students because clearly you mean a lot to them. And it was so fun talking to everyone, getting to know you better from their perspective. But we want to hear a little bit from your perspective. How did you get into all of this? Because you were telling me you wanted to be a nurse at first.
yes, I wanted to be a nurse. So I went to IU and I had to take I was short of some credits. So I had to take this career exploratory class. And I realized I cannot be a nurse because one, I can't do blood. And two, shockingly, I'm a crybaby. So I don't deal with sadness and death and all that kind of stuff very well. So I didn't know what I was going to do. I was thinking maybe social work. I'm just kind of floating along. I eventually transferred to Ball State, which is a teacher's college. And the thing that remained steady throughout my studies was I would always take Spanish classes because I liked the culture and the history. And it got to a point I had to make a decision. I was like, I guess I'll teach Spanish. And it kind of fell into my lap.
I think that was just amazing. For me, Spanish was really hard to learn in high school. What is your secret? How do you make it something that you get the kids excited about?
I try to make it as entertaining as possible. There's no way I could talk about conjugating verbs for an hour and hold their interest. So I try to infuse personal stories. I try to include their stories, things that have happened to me when I've traveled, things that I've learned from just kids who have come from other countries, jokes, lots and lots of jokes. So I tried to, it's almost as if being a teacher, I know you've heard that we wear several hats, but one of them is a performer because you have to perform to hold their attention. So,
I mean, that makes total sense. I always think about how well-spoken teachers are when we go surprise them. And you're right. You're on the ball, on the spotlight every single day with these kids and keeping their attention and whatnot. You mentioned travel as something that you talk to the kids about. You've traveled a lot. Where have all the places been that you've gone and what was it like?
My first trip was actually to Mexico, to Cuernavaca. And I did not study abroad when I was in school. I did not. And I graduated and I realized so much stuff I don't know. I just don't know. And even to this day, I have a friend who is amazing at languages. He speaks fluent Portuguese, Spanish, English. He's learning, I think, Gujarati. He speaks some German. He is just a natural with languages. He's just amazing. I am a person who has to constantly learn, constantly. So I'm always, because there's still so many things that I don't know, because nobody in my family speaks Spanish. Um, I have a couple of Spanish speaking friends, but we usually speak English. You know what I'm saying? So I have to constantly try to improve upon things that I don't know. So that's why I go abroad and I study. And I usually have to go, well, I've always had to go by myself. So, but I started off in Mexico. I went to Cuernavaca, Mexico, and it was a complete culture shock because I had never gone anywhere. I went by myself. My family was freaking out because I was going by myself and it was Mexico. I can still remember like how it feels when I landed, the smells, the sounds, the sights. But they were extremely, extremely warm and welcoming. Like I never had a problem. I won a Lilly grant and I went to the Dominican Republic for a summer. And that probably was my hardest experience was in the Dominican Republic because people see the beaches and you think, oh, fun in the sun. It was third world. It was a third world country. The heat, I was used to the heat, the mosquitoes, just the way of life. But the people there, again, super nice, super welcoming. I've studied in Spain 3 times in the same city just by happenstance because the first time I went on my own just to study at a language school. And then the second and third time was a part of a master's program. And I happened to be placed in Salamanca, Spain again. So, and then the last time was Colombia. So,
That is just
and
remarkable. And I think you're right that to learn another language, you have to live it a little bit and be
yes,
immersed in it. And I think
yes.
that can be what is so hard to learn it. But it's so important because we're uh, surrounded by different cultures and languages all the time. I wish for myself that I could speak Spanish better. What do you want students to know about the importance of learning Spanish or just learning another language?
It just opens up so many doors to the people that you can meet, like the amazing people. I actually, for a few years, I used to teach English as a second language to adults. So I would have the parents at nighttime in night school teaching them English, and I would have some of their kids in my Spanish class during the day. But just the people that you meet who speak a different language. It doesn't have to be Spanish. Just I had French speakers, I had people from all over the world who you don't have the opportunity to sit down and talk to or get to know. And they were really some amazing, wonderful people that had I not had the experience of like being able to teach English as a new language or even being able to communicate in Spanish, I would have never had the opportunity to know how amazing they are. So, and of course, it opens doors with jobs and in your career, but just on a personal level, the people that you meet that you would not have an opportunity to sit down and talk to and learn about their lives and their successes, their struggles, and things like that.
Yeah, I
So,
think about it. I've been on in plenty of scenarios where I can't communicate with someone, and it's so frustrating because you wish you could. And
yes.
we're all trying to speak, just not necessarily connecting. And you're doing a great thing by teaching students this skill. For kids that get frustrated, what do you do to help them move past that and keep learning the language and not get discouraged?
It's patience. It's different in this day and age with technology being the way that it is. So, because a lot of times the kids don't see the importance of because there's an app for that. There's an app for literally everything these days. There's an app for that. And yes, the app can translate, but you lose something when you're speaking through a device and the device speaks to the person. You lose some of that connection. So I do try to tell them that, and I'm really lucky because at our school at Pike High School, it's a very diverse, well, Pike Township is very diverse. So our kids have gone to school with kids who speak other languages their whole lives. So to a certain extent, they see how important it is, but that doesn't prevent some of them from becoming frustrated with the rules and, you know, or even my Spanish speaking kids sometimes say, that's not how we say it.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
never diminish what they say. Like, I never say, well, this isn't right, because who am I to say?
Hmm.
I just say, well, this is a different way to say it.
Hmm.
But I just try to be patient, try to be encouraging, try to be fun, you know.
I think your fun ability to teach came out really. You're speaking about devices in a different realm of the apps and it translating, but also during the pandemic, that was a huge thing that the kids touched on is that you guys are teaching and in class over a computer. How did you find ways to connect with these kids? Because clearly you made an impact.
That was probably the hardest thing I've ever done, next to the year after we were virtual. That almost caused me to leave teaching. I'm not even kidding. The year after. But during the pandemic, my friend Maeve Davis and I had decided that we were going to try our best to make it as much of a real class experience as we could. So, um, you're definitely not going to hold their attention when they're at home laying in the bed. And I want to talk about conjugating. So we would do, X amount. I would try to do like 20, 25 minutes of teaching. And then I would try to do something else. Like we used to play Among Us. It was really big game at that time.
I have
Like
no idea.
it's a little game that they play on their phone and you have to try to find who the saboteur is.
Oh, okay.
So just to like connect us, or we would talk about things that were happening in the world or things that were happening in their lives. So I tried to infuse the personal aspect of teaching into, because I could have gotten on the computer and said, okay, this is how you conjugate in the preterite, and that go do this assignment. That's it, guys. But they need more than that. People think that teaching is just we get up there and talk, but there is a connection that you have. And would I call some kids who would like fall asleep on Zoom? I would tell the kids in the chat, I would say, somebody send me such and such's number. And I would get on their school phone and I would say, get up, get on
Yeah.
Zoom with us. And they would. One kid is so funny. She told me she's a senior now, so I've known her since she was a soft sophomore, and she blocked my school number because
You called her
I
all
would
the
call
time.
her all the time when she fell asleep.
Hey, but that's
So
what your student told us he remembered and made him really know that you cared and wanted him to get even better and more involved in school.
yes, yes. And it's so funny because when we were virtual, the kids were not required. Some kids would turn on their camera, like very few kids would turn on their camera. So it was literally me speaking to a screen of gray boxes with white names in it. So I didn't know. And some kids, some classes, because it just depends on the mix of kids. Everybody turns on their mic and they were talking. I didn't know what they would look like, but they would talk. But in a lot of classes, I knew the kids through chat because they would only text, like they would only type
Mm.
things to me. So I kind of started to get to know their personalities. But when we came back to school, kids are like, hey, Miss Taylor, hey, Miss Taylor. I'm like, hey,
You're
who are you?
you're like a
Because
movie
I never
star
saw
because
their
you've never
faces. I
met
knew their
them.
personalities.
Yeah. And that they know you so well, but you didn't necessarily see them
Exactly.
till that moment. You said that year was hard once you actually came back. Is it getting better? Are things
It's
getting to where
getting
they need
better.
to be?
It's getting better. That year that we came back, and last year was an especially hard year, but the year that we came back, the kids were so used to not interacting and not talking. And for a class like mine, my classes, we talk all together. Like it is rare for somebody not to know somebody else's name in the class because we all talk together. So I was not used to this isolated. Everybody, all the kids were so isolated. There were kids who would send me an email and they're in class with me. Like I'm right here. I'm right here. Just tell me. And so like I'm notorious for not checking my email. Like
Yeah.
that's the thing. They will send messages to kids and say, Miss Taylor, Alicia said check your email because she sent you an important message, because I'm like, if you see me, then you could just talk to me. Like if it's really a thing, then okay. But it was very hard because the kids were just they would disappear into their little bubble with their phones. So it was harder to get them to connect not only with each other, but with me as well. And just with each other. It was just such an odd, I thought when the pandemic hit that it really wouldn't, the kids were so used to technology and, all those apps and FaceTime. I didn't think it would really affect them the way that it did, but it did. But luckily, it is getting better now.
And Spanish is such a social subject. That
Yes.
adds another layer on top of it. It's almost like you had to re-teach them how to be
Yes.
social before
How
you
to
could
be
teach them how to
people.
speak this other language.
Yes. Yes. There'd be times when I'd say, okay, you got to work with a partner because it's going to be an interactive activity. And they would say, can I work by myself? No, you can't talk to yourself on this activity. So that has been hard, but it is slowly but surely getting back to normal.
You've been teaching for a long time, so you've clearly
Yes.
seen a lot of changes and adapted and changed along with it. I mean, what is your takeaway for maybe a new teacher coming in? Because we need new teachers, we need teachers
Yes.
to enter this field, we need teachers in general, but I think some of them are getting scared away. It's hard. So,
Yes.
what would you say to them?
It is a hard profession. People do not understand all the things that go into teaching. Like you just see what happens on the front end and not on the back end. And on the back end, it's like a duck. Like it looks like it's really, relaxed, but on the bottom, you just, kicking away. I would say that for a new teacher, it is important to, one, have a sense of humor because the kids say things and it's like either I can laugh at this or I could take this to heart and cry all night about it. You know what I mean? So I think a sense of humor is important. I think flexibility is important. And that I think teachers who form relationships and bonds with kids have far less discipline problems.
Mm-hmm.
And don't get me wrong, I have discipline problems sometimes. Like kids say all the time, I can never tell if you're serious. And I'm like, the steam coming off of my head isn't a clue, but they say they can never tell if I'm serious or not. So, of course, there's a thin line that you have to, walk. But I think forming relationships will make it easier for you to get the kids to go along with what you want them to do. And there also is not one, there's not one steadfast rule that I can use for every kid. You
Mm-hmm.
can't. You have to adjust.
You have to learn who these people are. And
Yes.
these students of yours said that right there, that you formed these relationships. And the names they used for you were friend, mentor, school mom, all those things that really point to a clear relationship made. And they just felt that you respected them and they could feel that.
Yes. I love my little buddies. I literally love my little buddies. In my darkest times with teaching, the one thing that I said that has not changed is how I feel about the kids. Because I could, wake up, have a bad day, and one crack a joke or say something super sweet, and it can, turn it all around. Mm-hmm. So I do love my little buddies. I do.
Well, the kids are what is most important here, right? And
yes.
I think I have two little kids myself, but as a parent, I think there's a lot like we are trying to learn. Is there something you'd want to tell parents, or is there something more we can be doing or better involved, or what is kind of a parent role? What would you suggest could help teachers?
I would say to help teachers, just support them in their educational endeavors and just know that teachers are not out to get kids. Like, we are not out there to get kids. I love your kids. You send your kids to me and I love them the way that you would want somebody to love your kids while they're away. I take them how they are. Like, feisty, calm, you name it, I take them. And I encourage, because I have seen a lot of things in these 20 years, I encourage the parents to love their kids as they are as well. Because I've seen so many kids in conflict with their parents because their parents just don't understand who they are or, the things that they're into. And you just have to let them be. And eventually, it'll come back to center, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense.
It does. It's been so interesting for me doing this series. I mean, all you different teachers, you have different methodologies, teach different subjects and different grades, but it just seems to come back to this connect with the student as a person and respect them as a person, and you get that respect in return, and
Yes.
and then they want to learn. It's kind of what it
Yes.
seems like to me. And
Yes.
it's a good moment for me as a parent to learn that too. But I think as a society, right? Like we need to know that teachers are doing so much for our kids, and they're kind of a good outlet for our kids too. Is there something you want the greater public to know when it comes to teachers? Because not everybody gets this inside view that I get when I go to your guys' school.
Yeah. Just that, of course, our job is to educate your children, but it's also to support and encourage and, push your kids to do the best that they can do. And everybody's best is different. Everybody's best is different. So, and parents need to realize that too.
Mhm.
Like, you might have one kid who is an A+ student and that's their best, and a C might be the best because they're into something else.
Mhm.
Maybe they're into something that's not a traditional subject in school. So teachers are really there because it's not for the money. It is because we really do care about kids and society as a whole, because we play a huge part. Sometimes we don't realize it. I realized it after, the story, and I got a lot of, positive feedback from kids that I've had throughout the years who I haven't talked to in years, and to know that they carry a little piece of, what they learned from me in their hearts or in their minds. So we really are there to help your kids succeed.
Well, you are certainly an inspiration. And thank you so much for letting us bombard you. I know it was a lot, and share your
Yes,
story.
thank you. And I promise that really was allergies, even though you zoomed in on them a million times. I said, no.
I loved every single tear that was shed.
Oh my gosh.
And
Oh
I'm
my
sure
gosh,
your
so
kids did
embarrassing.
too. Well, thank you. Gracias and felicidades. I think that's it.
Gracias. Thank you so much, Hannah.
Ms. Taylor plans to keep tailoring her lessons to students and making sure they all feel special. From Wish TV, I'm Hannah Mordeau. We're going to continue honoring teachers in Central Indiana who go above and beyond to make a difference in children's lives. This is the last teacher we're honoring this school year, but just wait, we have our grand finale special coming up in June. So listen in for the next big winner right here on the All Indiana Podcast Network.
The Wish TV Golden Apple Awards podcast. Nominate a teacher and learn more at wishtv.com now. Be sure to follow and subscribe to this podcast and discover even more great podcasts now on the All Indiana Podcast Network at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.